Another eulogy delivered at today's funeral came from Gerald R. Ford, which he wrote before his death. 13 on your side's Josh Albertus looks at what the former president wrote years ago and why writing it was so important to him.
According to a map, it's a long way between Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Plains, Georgia. But distances have a way of vanishing when measured in values rather than miles.
It was a show of friendship that defied even death, as the words of the late President Gerald Ford rang out in the National Cathedral at the funeral of former President Jimmy Carter, and for a very specific reason.
He said, "I want to ask a favor of you." And I said, "You can ask anything you want to, Jared, and I'll do it, I'm sure." He said, "I want you to give the eulogy at my funeral." And I was really taken aback. I didn't know what to say. And I finally said, "Okay, I'll promise to give yours if you'll give mine if I pass away first."
And so they did. But with Ford's passing 18 years before Carter, Ford entrusted the reading of his written eulogy for his friend and presidential successor to his son, Stephen.
By fate of a brief season, Jimmy Carter and I were rivals. But for the many wonderful years that followed, friendship bonded us as no two presidents since John Adams and Thomas Jefferson.
While the two had once competed to be the most powerful man in the world, their post-presidencies marked by a unique shift. There was much more in common between them than they may have once thought.
Discussing our families, our faith, and sharing our experiences and discovering that there is indeed life after the White House.
But it may not yet be over, as they now have, in Ford's words, much to catch up on.
Jimmy Carter's legacy of peace and compassion will remain unique as it is timeless. Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome home, old friend.
And Josh, when I did interview Jimmy Carter in Grand Rapids years ago, he explained that unique relationship between the former rivals.
Yeah, Julia, he did, and as he kind of told you, and you've heard us talk about multiple times in depth over the last few weeks, about how close and for some how unique this friendship was and how close these families came to be. So there are a lot of memories that were shared in this eulogy. You can watch it in full under this story up on our website, 13onyourside.com.
Thank you, Josh.